Hi everyone, and welcome back. This video might be a bit of a long one, but it's a very important one. And as my title did say, don't move to Ireland before you've done these things first. But before I get started, have a look at this. Isn't this tree just gorgeous outside my window? Most beautiful pink. It's so lovely. Right, let's get started. I've got a little list here. We're just going to work our way down. So basically this is a checklist of things you need to do before you move to Ireland. Most of these tips will apply to South Africans, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of them will be universal tips whether you're coming from America or any other country. These are mostly documents that you would need to have to apply for visas or to apply for jobs once you're in Ireland. Right, so the first thing is you need to make sure that your passport is up to date. Have at least 2 years of validity on your passport, because once you're in Ireland, it can take 6 to 8 months to get your passport renewed. And if you're wanting to go on holiday or if you're needing to get stamps in your passport, that's very important, because in South Africa it'll only take about 2.5 weeks to get your passport renewed. But once you're in Ireland, you have to book an appointment. You have to go to the embassy in Dublin, and you have to then, once you've done that, wait 6 to 8 months to get your passport renewed. So make sure that you have a good amount of validity in your passport, so you won't have to deal with all of that too soon after you arrive. Now, a lot of these documents you need to get from Home Affairs, and I'm sure as a South African you do know that Home Affairs can sometimes take forever, and the queues you have to stand in can take forever. So do this well in advance to save yourself the stress and the hassle. So the first one, apply for your unabridged marriage certificate if you're married. This can take quite long to get back from Home Affairs. Some people get lucky and get it back quite quickly, but this one did take us a long time to get back. So make sure you apply for this quite early, as this is needed for most of your applications when you're arriving in Ireland to prove that you are married, and also when you want to naturalize, you'll need the proof of marriage. And also for your EU treaty application, once you've arrived in Ireland, you'll need to fill out 100 different forms. So make sure you have your unabridged marriage certificate. Another thing to get from Home Affairs will be birth certificates for all your children, also for yourselves, but more importantly at first for your children if they're under 18. You'll want to get those. Make sure that they are unabridged. You will need your own birth certificates for yourself and your spouse for when you want to naturalize. So make sure that you get all of that before you come over, because it can be very costly to then apply for it once you're here. Now, we had a lot of our Home Affairs documents apostilled, which means that we got them from Home Affairs and then we sent them off to Pretoria, and we got them wax sealed and stamped, which basically it's just showing that it's a true original. You don't need this for naturalization, but you would need this in the future for your children. So if you want to get an extra print of their birth certificates and send it off to be apostilled, it's really handy to keep for when they want to get married one day. They will need this apostilled document. Now, if you have been divorced in South Africa, it's a very good idea to bring the divorce decree with you, because you will need this document for filling out the EU treaty forms. And yeah, so it's just very good to have that document with you and to keep with you as a record. Apply for your police clearance well in advance as well. You'll need this for when you apply for work permits. And also, if you plan on working with children or elderly people here in Ireland, you will be asked for a police clearance certificate. They'll also do a Garda vetting on you here in Ireland, but it's a good idea to get your police clearance applied for and receive it before you leave South Africa. You can also use the police clearance when applying for naturalization, because it will add to your good character as part of your application. A letter from the traffic department for your driver's license. Basically, it's a letter of entitlement. That's a very good thing to have. So when you come to Ireland, you can exchange your South African license for an Irish license. So you will need that letter to prove that you have a valid driver's license in South Africa, and by having that, you can easily exchange your driver's license for an Irish one. If you wait longer than 12 months to do this, you will have to redo your license in Ireland, and that is no fun task, so try and get it done as quickly as possible. It's a very good idea to get your car insurance provider in South Africa to give you a no claims letter, a no claims bonus letter, to show that you have a good driving record. So when you come to Ireland, you can show that to prospective insurance companies. So that will hopefully give you a lower premium for your insurance when you first arrive, because what tends to happen is you get hit with quite a high premium at first, but as the years roll on, your premium will get lower and lower and lower as they see that you're not a risk and not a liability. Now, one thing I need to emphasize here is do not laminate any of the documents you get from Home Affairs. In fact, don't laminate anything, because they will not accept it. Whoever is needing those documents, whether it be for your EU treaty or for work permits or anything like that, they will not accept laminated copies of your birth certificates or marriage certificates or anything like that. I know it looks nice, I know it keeps it nice, and it doesn't bend or tear. Do not laminate. If you have laminated your documents already, you're going to have to reapply for new ones, because they will not be accepted. If you are flying alone with your children to Ireland, make sure that you have a parental consent form signed. You can get that off the Home Affairs website. You will need your signature and your child's parent's signature on that document to prove that you have the right to fly, or you've been given permission to fly with the children alone. Following on from that, if you were divorced and you have a parenting plan in place or a court order, you will need those documents for when you leave the country, and also to prove that you have the authority to make decisions on behalf of your children. So that is very important. You will be asked for that at the airport if you are flying alone, and also for your EU treaty applications. It's very important to have those documents just to prove that you have authority over these children, even though their other parent isn't in the country. It would be a good idea to appoint someone with power of attorney before you move over to Ireland. So this person could be a parent, a friend, a family member. It would just be good to have someone who can act on your behalf while you're over here. For example, if you needed to close a bank account, or if there was suspicious activity on your bank account in South Africa and you were battling to do anything from Ireland, they would have the power to act on your behalf. So that's always a good idea, to have someone who can do that for you. Now, another thing from Home Affairs that is quite important is vault copies of your birth certificates and marriage certificates. Now, a vault copy is the original form that you filled in when you gave birth or when you got married. It's in your handwriting, and it gets stored at some office in Pretoria, I presume. So it's quite an important document to have. So to apply for that can sometimes take some time. So it's always a good document just to keep with you, because it's very hard to get hold of once you have moved to Ireland. So apply for your vault copies of your birth certificates, your children's birth certificates, and your marriage certificate. For certain careers, your South African qualifications might need to get certified to be recognised in Ireland, and you can do this by contacting NARIC, N-A-R-I-C, in Ireland to get your qualification certified. Now, on a medical front, it would be a very good idea to get your medical history to bring along with you to hand over to future doctors, especially if you have a history with chronic meds or chronic illness or anything like that. It would be a good idea just to gather all that information so you can give it over to doctors in Ireland. A good idea would be to arrange a script if you're on chronic meds for at least 6 months, which will tide you over. It can be difficult to get registered with a GP straight away. It might take some time to find a doctor that has space, that has room for new patients. So just to have that script on hand would be helpful. It would just alleviate a little bit of stress, so that you wouldn't be worrying about getting more medication. At least then you'll have 6 months to find yourself a doctor. With regards to your children's vaccinations, it's quite important to bring their Road to Health book with, showing what vaccinations they've had. The vaccination schedule is quite different over here, so they might need boosters for certain things. So it'll just be useful to have that with you. Before you come to Ireland, go to the dentist. Go get a checkup. Make sure that there's no fillings that need to be done, any x-rays, anything that needs to be done to your teeth or to your eyes. So go see the optometrist. It's really expensive here to go see the dentist and the optometrist. So do that before you come here. Now it's up to you whether you want to ship all your furniture over here, all your worldly belongings, or if you just want to sell everything and come with your suitcases. We came over with our suitcases in a couple boxes that we shipped over. We didn't bring any furniture with us. We just found it easier to do it that way, mostly because most rentals come partially to fully furnished. And if we had shipped over our furniture, couches, beds, all of those things, cabinets, cupboards, we would not have had the space for them. So I'm very happy that we didn't bring over our furniture. It's completely up to you though. If you're wanting to do that, that is up to you. If you're planning on moving into a brand new house, something that's your own, then obviously it would make sense to bring all your own furniture. But if you're planning on renting, just know that most rentals do come partially to fully furnished, and so you would be a bit stuck as to where to put the furniture. And also the houses here in Ireland are smaller. So your lovely big lounge suite that you have in your lovely big lounge in South Africa will not fit into these lounges. We have a couch that can seat 3 people, and we have squeezed 2 single seaters into our lounge. There's just not enough room for lovely big bulky couches. So it's just something to keep in mind, that the way houses are set up here are far different. Also, we found that the double beds here feel like 3/4. They don't feel as big as our double beds back at home. We would not fit a king size bed or a queen size bed into our room, into our ensuite main bedroom in Ireland, because the rooms are so much smaller. So anyway, it's everybody up, you can make up your own mind as to furniture and shipping. That's up to you. Don't forget to cancel your TV license. I know this can be such a headache to try and cancel this thing, but it's very important. You don't want to get blacklisted for non-payment, because that can affect your credit history when you're wanting to buy a house here or anything that you need to do a credit report. And if it shows that you're blacklisted for anything, it could be 24 Rand with MTN that you forgot to pay, it will count against you over here and you will not get a mortgage. So make sure that you cancel all your subscriptions so that you're not left with money owed to anybody. So TV license, very important. Try and cancel that as soon as possible. Yeah, so along with the TV license, you want to think about canceling your contract with your cell phone. I know you might have to buy yourself out of it or something, but cancel that so you're not left with an unpaid bill at the end of the day. Also make sure that your cell phone is unlocked so that you can get signal of other networks, especially if you're bringing your phone over with you. You're going to want to be able to use it overseas. So make sure that you get your phone unlocked for other networks. If you are renting in South Africa, try and get a referral letter from your landlord that you're renting with, just as a show of good character. So when you come over here, you'll have some kind of rental history to show your prospective new landlord, which is always good if you've got like a nice rental CV or something, just saying something about yourself. It can just show them that you pay your bills and you looked after the property. It goes a long way. So try and get that before you come over. Another good idea, just in case things go missing in the move, scan all your documents onto a disk and email it to yourself or keep it on a hard drive or something. So you just have proof of all these documents. So it's just good just to have a backup. So try and scan all important documents to yourself. Right, so I hope I didn't overload you now with information or panic you or anything like that. It's just really good just to have a checklist of everything that you will need to get into Ireland and to have a stress-free immigration into Ireland. So I hope that was helpful. Now I just want to add on just at the end, just a few little home comforts, or not really home comforts, more like necessities, that when I have people, or especially my family, coming over to visit, I ask them to bring. And it might be some things that you just want to throw into your bag just to keep as extras, because they are either, number one, really expensive to buy, or just not available without prescription over here in Ireland. So the first thing is paracetamol. At Clicks or Discount, you can walk in and buy a container of 100 or 200 little tablets of paracetamol. Here, you are only allowed to buy one box that has 12 tablets in it, and it costs sometimes between €3 and €6 just for that box of 12 tablets. So give it some thought. Maybe throw, say, 2 or 3 bottles of paracetamol into your luggage, or when someone comes to visit you, ask them to bring you a bottle of paracetamol, because it's just so expensive to buy here. And it's just such an easy thing just to get in South Africa. But here you are only allowed to buy a box of 12 per person at the shop. So, which I find is quite ridiculous. But anyway, it's just something just to think about. Valoid. So Elijah was vomiting a little while ago, and they wouldn't let me buy any anti-nausea medicine because he hadn't been vomiting for more than, I think it was 24 or 36 hours. They wouldn't give it to me. And I just thought, that's just so unfair. This poor child, I could just give him some Valoid and he would feel better. But here you have to have a prescription for it. And it's so easy to get in South Africa. So bring a bottle of Valoid, some Valoid tablets with you, just to keep in the cupboard just in case. Allergex. Now you can get Allergex, similar medicines to Allergex here, but they are quite expensive. So it would be a good idea to bring some Allergex syrup, Allergex cream, or Allergex tablets with, whatever you use, whatever you find easiest to use. Also, because of the seasons and the pollens and everything, it's just good to have a box of Allergex in the cupboard. Paracetamol suppositories for children. Those are quite expensive and quite hard to come by sometimes. So those are always good just to have in the cupboard, especially if they're vomiting and they've got high fever or something. Suppositories always, as I'm sure you know, if you're a mom yourself, it's always so much easier to pop a suppository than trying to get them to take the medicine by mouth. Now, Corenza C and ACC 200, those are things that I haven't really found a very similar product to over here. So those are always good to have in the cupboard. Mrs. Ball's chutney. Now look, you can get it. You can get it at the South African shops. They are a bit more expensive, but it's always nice to have a bottle of Mrs. Ball's chutney in the cupboard. So bring a good few of those if you're able to. Brown onion soup powder. Oh my gosh, get a couple boxes of this stuff and keep it in the cupboard. It keeps for ages. So don't be shy with the brown onion soup powder. And spices. I find that Ireland really lacks for having a good variety of spices, especially for things like butter chicken or just a really good spicy dish. I find the flavors over here very mild and very toned down. So if you can bring some spices over with you, some Robinsons or whatever your favorite make of spice is, bring it. Pack your bag full of spices if you can. So look, this video could have been a lot longer. There are loads of things that we can talk about when it comes to immigrating, but I just wanted to condense it down to mostly documents and important paperwork that you need to bring with you. So if you have any questions, please pop the questions into the comment section. I'll try and answer them as well as I can. Otherwise, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope I've covered everything that is important as far as documentation goes. So yeah, we'll chat again, and I'll see you again very soon in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.